Okay, so let's continue. We're going to start with the vertical line, which is the 3.6 graphs of functions. And we're going to do the vertical line test for functions. Okay? And remember we said we did this one, relations and functions, introduction to functions. Now we're going to do 3.6 graphs of functions. The first part is the vertical line test for functions. So we're going to draw some lines here. Let me do this one, for example. We have in this one, we have so what is, just start looking at that and this, and what about, what is stemming from the domain? And what's the input? What do you guys see as the input and the output? Are they all functions? Sorry, this one is just right here. So I'm going to write them down here. T, E, so I have this one here. I have 3 more, so they might not fit in here. So let me, hold on. Just go ahead and write them down because we are going to be using it. But this is G. And H, right? So now, if you're done doing this, we're gonna look at the circle edge graph, okay? So let me, okay, where, what do we have here? We have I'm gonna try to write to draw a circle here. There we go. So then, if we choose an X value along the X axis, right? You will notice two things. Let's say this is the x value. So you're going to notice two things. First, the x value relates to two different y values on the circle graph. Here's one y value, and here is another y value. So this kind of relation is not a function, as only one y can correspond to an x value. And in this case, two y values correspond to one x value. And second, the 3 points form a vertical line. Let me draw it. Those 3 points, you see them there? They form a vertical line. So if I can draw a vertical line that cuts through your graph, if you can do that more than once, so then the relation is not a function. And this is this is known as the vertical line test. Okay, let me just write down what I just said to you guys. Okay, if you choose an x value like we did it right here, along the x-axis, you will notice two things. Number one, the x value relates to two different, the x value relates to two different y values, okay, on the circle graph. That's one thing that is happening. Number two, oh, and hold on. And this kind of relation is not a function, as only one y value can correspond to an x value. Okay? Let me write that down. This kind of relation is not a function, as only one y value can correspond to an x value. Okay, don't forget that. Now, second, what we see the 3 points form a vertical line. And I show you that. So when we draw the line, you could see that it cuts through your graph more than once. Cut it here and here. So when it does that, the relation is not a function. So if we can draw a vertical line that cuts through your graph more than once, then the relation is not a function. Okay? And this is known as the vertical line test. All right? Now, we're gonna go back to this part. Yes, we're gonna go back here, and for each of them, we're gonna say if the graph represents a function. All right? If it does, we're gonna come up with the possible relation between x and y. We're gonna find the domain of the function and the range. Okay, so let's do it. So we're gonna say the first one. If we draw the vertical line, it is a function, right? So let's write it down. It's a function because the vertical line cuts through to our graph no more than once, just once. Now, here, vertical line, it is a function too. Now, what happened on this one? When I draw a line here, it's gonna cut it twice, right? So we're gonna say not a function. We are almost done there. Now, this one, when we draw a line, it is a function. It only cuts through the graph once. This one, not a function. Cuts it twice. You guys see that? And the same with the circle, not a function. This one, not a function. If I draw a line, it cuts it through all the points. This one, just one point, so it is a function. Now, we did that one. The next one is asking us to find the possible relationship, meaning the formula between x and y. So this one is going to be y equal mx plus b. That's the form of a linear equation. All right? Then this one is y is equal to x squared. This one, we're just going to come up with the formula. It's going to be y squared equals to x. To BD. And this one is the y, absolute value of y equals to x. This is the circle formula. And the last two, when x is equal to a constant or when y is equal to a constant. So now we found the relationship between x and y. Now let's do the domain. Let's use this one for the domain. So the domain is the x, is the input. So what's the domain here? All of the real numbers. Okay? We could write like that, or we could say from negative infinity to positive infinity. Now let's do the range. Okay, so the range is going to be the same. It's all of the real numbers or infinity, comma, positive infinity. Okay, for this one. Now let's do this one. So the domain is the x. So the domain is going to be all of the real numbers again. And we could say negative infinity to infinity. Remember, I'm not using the bracket, I'm using the open parentheses. And for the range, which is the y, what is it going to be? They're not in the negative part, they're only here, from here all the way up. So it's going to be 0 to infinity. Now, this one. This one is not a function, so we don't need to do that. Not a function, not a function. And not a function. And this one, yes, it is a function. So we're getting that. So the domain is going to be all of the real numbers or from infinity to infinity. But the range is what? The range is only that number here. Y equal to 3, y equal to 4. So it's only going to be that number. Okay? And this is what I have in regards to the vertical line and finding the domain and the range of the relations.